All right, guys. So as I was looking at the game last night, I was thinking 3 times in the last 5 seasons, it's been Chiefs Kingdom hoisting the Lombardi Trophy, right? And whether you look at it like from the perspective of the unbelievable comeback against the 49ers that actually got KC into the position to win in overtime, or you look at that fierce fight that San Francisco put up right until the bitter end, kind of had you wondering, like, wow, how can the Falcons actually get there? So I ask you this question, Tori, did it give you encouragement to really kind of see a Chiefs franchise, a long-suffering franchise, all of a sudden go on a tear like they've gone on these last 5 years, and maybe say, you know what, the Falcons, if they put these pieces together in the right way, they can be that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what's so interesting about the Chiefs and the way they've built things is they have built sustained success over
Yes.
years and seasons, which I think in the modern NFL is actually really difficult to do.
Very.
I know I personally am kind of like anti-dynasty. Like I love that there is like parity across the league. It's why I think you have kind of the systems in place with draft, free agency, trade, and the kind of the different rules and regulations that you have with that, if we're just talking from a business standpoint. But the thing is like the Chiefs, just like the Patriots for about 20 years in the early 2000s, like these are two organizations that have been able to build sustained success, and people are throwing out the word dynasty like when they're talking about the Chiefs. And I think like it's really interesting too, because for me, it just and I think this way with like baseball all the time. Like it's when a team gets hot, it's not necessarily like that, because I think the best team in the league in 2023, I thought the Ravens were it. I thought
They
the
were
Ravens
it.
were it. And but they tapered off. And then you see a team like the Eagles, who had just one of the most exciting runs last year, lose the last 7 games of the season. I mean, it's all about when you get hot. And for some reason, this Chiefs team, year in and year out, over the last 5, 6, 7 years, have found a way to turn it on in the postseason. And that's like a mentality that you almost can't teach. And it's something that I think, like, if you're the Falcons kind of watching from afar, you kind of can believe in this whole idea of sustained success. And that it's not just like, we're going to like be good for 2 years and then we're going to lose out on people who are retiring or moving off of their rookie deals or whatever. No, this is a team that has, over the course of 6 or 7 years, has been relevant, and not just been relevant, they've been winning. And I think that's hopeful for a team like the Falcons that are actively trying to build something that can sustain.
And I think that's a great point, because, and don't throw rocks at me through the postcast, the podcast, but I think the Saints were actually probably the best example within the NFC South, because I think once they actually finally got it together and got their Super Bowl, they maintained a level of superiority over, even if they didn't win the NFC South every season, they're probably the longest sustaining of the 4 teams in the division. So it goes back to what you were saying, Tori, not every year is going to lead to a Super Bowl. Obviously, even with the Chiefs, we're not talking about a three-peat. We're not talking about 5 straight Super Bowl appearances, but we are talking about 3 in 5 seasons. And that there's a level of sustainability. Or even with the 49ers, Aaron, just going back to that NFC Championship game and trying to get back to that Super Bowl and trying to erase the memories of, 49ers Ravens, always being in the conversation to be able to get there is huge too. And taking nothing away from what Brock Purdy was able to do, but I do want to give credit to Patrick Mahomes. A lot of it is also going back to what you asked, Tori, about with Arthur Blank, and that's getting the right guy under center. Because, Aaron, a big part of what they were able to do was for Patrick Mahomes, not that he's older, but he is kind of like an elder statesman, and for Travis Kelce to get in that room with a Rashee Rice and say, hey, let me teach you how to be that guy. I know you're a rookie, but you're a bad, bad guy, and let me tell you about game time and slowing the game down for you, or getting Marquez Valdes-Scantling back to the mindset that he had from maybe a season or 2 ago. I think all of those things are huge, and sustainability is probably the most encouraging thing from what you saw yesterday, devoid of maybe an actual Super Bowl win.
Yeah, I think when you're talking about sustainability, you're talking about quarterback play. That's the thing that allows you to be stable for a very long time, because we know that these guys, we saw it here with Matt Ryan, 14 years. You think that, Patrick Mahomes can play 14 plus years. We saw Tom Brady do it for 22 years or whatever ridiculous number he played at for a long time. And so when you talk about that sustainability of why a team like the Chiefs can sort of weather all these different storms, and I think the success of the Chiefs is, when it comes to, we need to fix our defense, they were able to do that. We need to fix our offensive line, they were able to do that. And when you have a team that has the best quarterback on the planet and you are pretty consistently good at solving problems, that's going to allow you to sort of come back year after year and be in a position to do this. And to the 49ers credit, they haven't necessarily had the stability at the quarterback position that the Chiefs have had, but they've been pretty good at doing the other things.
Everything
with
else,
the
right.
sustainability. Right. I guess for them, their Patrick Mahomes is Kyle Shanahan, right? With the play calling, and you can kind of figure it out at the quarterback position because you believe that guy's going to be put in a great position to succeed. So I think sustainability is key for both of these teams. And if the Falcons hope to match it, then, they got to find the right coach. Hopefully they've done that now. And then they got to find the right quarterback. And that should allow them to have the success to be able to get multiple bites at the apple that I think you need if you really have any intention of winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I think you bring up a great point, and I think we all kind of get into the same thing as far as you need to talk about sustainability, right? Like, what does that look like for the Falcons? Because I know watching the game last night, I'm like, okay, I just basically broke it down to this. Like, all right, we can find Michael Jordan, find Michael Jordan in the draft and draft him, or we can say, hey, let's build a team. Let's get a collective team, because there were so many moments in that game where I felt like the 49ers were going to win. And T, before you walked out of the door of my house, you said it. Like, man, 49ers feel like they're going to pull this bad boy. And I was like, yeah, me too. And then I saw Mike.
And I was like,
just hop on the field. It's like, I got 3 points. Oh, we're down 3 points. Oh, man.
Right.
And he just looked so cool, calm, and collected throughout the entire game. It's like, oh my gosh, like I can understand the calmness that Andy Reid had, because he put it on display. It was on full display last night, because if Travis Kelce would have run up on me like that, like, it would have been an issue, because like, you don't run up on Andy Reid. Andy Reid is like the most lovable coach, that you possibly think of. So I think that, when you put it down like that, as far as like, okay, let's see if we can go get Michael Jordan, or let's see if we can just build this team and we can get a guy that can come in and make necessary plays to at least get us to the Super Bowl, because we know at the end of the day, anything can happen. But man, like, unless it's 15 is up under center, like, he's gonna figure out to get a win. And I think that overall, the Falcons should have some hope. They should be able to say, you know what, we can get that sustainability. We can build a culture, from even from a coaching staff standpoint, because Steve Spagnuolo, like, I think he needs to get a lot more credit. People starting to come around on that, but I feel like he needs to get more credit for what he's been able to do with that defense, because we know where the money is. The money is right there up under the taking snaps at quarterback. And you got to be able to navigate that, especially when you're talking about a $500 million contract. So I feel like the Falcons, they got some big decisions to make, because the route that you choose is going to determine your future, like, really quickly.
And the thing is, too, I was looking at like cap stuff, because around this time I always like,
of course,
I don't know, you got to look at it.
It's nerd out. I love it.
I legit will just like go down rabbit holes with it sometimes, but really, truly, like, the longer I'm in this business, like, the more and more that I feel like you can do pretty much anything towards the cap. You can make things.
You can make that cap work for you.
You can make it work. And the Falcons are, I think, at a really healthy level in terms of like cap space and what their contracts look like, the guys that they do have under contract. So they're in a really good spot to essentially do what they want to do at that position. I really do believe that. And the problem is, and it's like, and this is the issue that they got in, 5 years ago after the last Super Bowl, you dole out these huge contracts for aging players, and you don't necessarily are getting the success. And now you're pigeonholed because you have all this money in these individuals. And that's where they don't want to be. Like, because again, that's something that the the Chiefs have done, I think, a pretty good job of is like
yeah.
they found ways to have money in the bank. Like they
Yep.
found ways to still pay
We'll
Patrick
see you,
Mahomes.
Tyreek. Bye.
Right. Yes.
You go
made
get paid, we'll win a chip.
Yeah, you
Yes.
gotta like give credit where credit is due, where they have made the cap work for themselves. And it's like the Falcons are at a really, really good place in terms of the health of their cap, a place that they have not been in a very long time.
Yeah.
And so you want to make sure that you have that level, talking about sustainability, like level of sustained play on the field, but also sustained health in terms of an organizational structure.
Yes.
And I think when you look at, and the Chiefs are probably the blueprint that many of us know. I think I know their blueprint a bit better than I know the 49ers blueprint. It's all of the pieces of the puzzle, right? Because you have to start scouting when you kind of start figuring out Tyreek Hill is up out of here. You have to make sure that that critical piece within your wide receiver room is, you may not be able to replace him 1-for-1, but if you can at least replace 75% of what he does, and you can still get a little bit more out of an Isaiah Pacheco in terms of the receiving game and other places, that takes all of, like you said, the front office, scouting team, the coach, it takes everybody saying, okay, where is that position, or where's that other position, or those three positions where we might not be able to replace 1-for-1 minus quarterback, but we may not be able to replace 1-for-1, but how can we get in that space? Oh, and then we go to the other side because we talk offense, but defense, we start getting jewels like Nate Landman, you know, and, or you'll get someone to fall in your lap like Contavious Street. Yeah, there it is. Exactly. So
no offense, Nate.
Right. No, but it's the truth.
That's what it is, right?
Right. And then Contavious Street falls in your lap. So you look at things like that, but then you make positive moves ahead of time too, to go out and get a Jesse Bates III, and then he was worth the money. But you get a David Onyemata and a Caden Ellis. When you begin to put all of those pieces together, then you start talking about sustainability. And most of those guys are also, like you said, Tori, very young pieces that across time you can expect to get returns on investments for some years to come. So now, speaking of return on investment, I don't know about you all, but my ROI of spending my 13 minutes in front of that TV.
15 minutes.
15 minutes. I love it. I was so enthralled. I didn't even know how much time I'd spent standing in front of that TV going, oh dear God. Anyway, we'll talk about it on the other side.